New photos have surfaced of the transgender ex-student that police say is responsible for the deadly school shooting that took place in a remote part of British Columbia. Now that's Jesse on your screen. You can see full name Jesse van Rootselaar showing off with glee a rifle, smiling broadly while sitting on a couch with another person. Now, according to other photographs, this is sort of like the only photo that we've seen of him where he was actually smiling broadly. Many on Facebook had him sort of tight-lipped. Now, police say the suspect was found dead from what appeared to be a, quote, self-inflicted injury. The suspect is accused of killing 2 family members at home before opening fire at Tumbler Ridge Secondary School, killing at least 6 and wounding at least 24 others. Watch here.
I will say this. We identified the suspect as they chose to be identified in public and in social media. I can say that Jesse was born as a biological male who approximately, the information that I have, approximately 6 years ago began to transition to female and identified as female both socially and publicly.
In New York Post opinion writer Bethany Mandel writes that she wants the mainstream media to quit gaslighting the public on trans mass shooters. A fascinating op-ed, Carly, that went into the fact that the media is sort of stoking and fomenting this dysphoria and potentially a lot of negative and fatal consequences.
Yeah, and when I first read about this yesterday, it was reported that a female school shooter died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. And I thought, wow, that is rare, unless wound up being the case here. And, you know, I think this is a delicate thing to talk about because gender dysphoria is a real thing, and the people who have it do not want to feel like they are stuck in the wrong bodies. But even when those people commit the most horrific act you can, which is taking the life or lives of other people, this happens repeatedly. There are members of the media who will, yes, report the crimes, but then seemingly give a hat tip to the killer by using their preferred pronoun and using their preferred gender, and in some way insinuating that the killer is still a victim here. And that sort of thinking is part of the problem because you're turning a blind eye to a trend of violence. And one line that I'll use from Bethany Mandel's op-ed, she says, when young people are spiraling, we shouldn't ignore the signs because then more violence happens as a result of that. And that's the trend that we continue to see here.
Kaylee, as Carly mentioned, that this horrific trend, Minneapolis, Nashville, BC, the alleged murder of Charlie Kirk. And again, Bethany writes, look, every time this happens, there's a pattern that the media follows. Frantic efforts to minimize the identity, not release the fact that it's transgender, sanitize language, she writes, and insist nothing meaningful could possibly be extrapolated from that fact. What do you say?
Yeah, you just listed other examples of trans shooters. I mean, they're there, and they are recent. Nashville, Minneapolis, you listed them. And in each case, the media doesn't give us the facts. I thought it was the job of the media to give us all the facts. Then we can make our own conclusions as a society about what to think about those facts. But they're actively concealing the facts because they have an agenda. And they did this with Tyler Robinson. And you can go find the endless clips of people in the media saying, oh, Tyler Robinson didn't have a motive. Are you kidding me? Everyone in this country knows what Charlie Kirk stood for. Do not tell me that that young man did not have a motive. Indeed, he did. But they conceal the motive. They conceal the facts. We need to start having evidence-based conversations. And I am tired of being lied to. Is a biological man stronger than a biological woman? Yes, the evidence is there. Are cross-sex hormones or hormone replacement therapy healthy for young people? Well, in this country, we just say, yes, let's rush the meds on people. In Europe, they actually have evidence-based scientific conversations. And they say that it's a very low chance that these have an efficacy with young people. Should young children be getting life-altering surgery like vasectomies? No, they should not. But we can't have these conversations in this country because people have agendas. What happened to the science, the evidence, the facts? That is the point we should be operating from.
And I thought another great point, Harris, that Bethany made was one of perceived compassion. And she talked about this, as my paraphrasing, that the kid gloves that the media and often the left use with people who are going through these identity issues with such compassion as to, again, sanitize, to ignore, to not even discuss, means that, she says, goes from compassion to criminal. Because by not naming, by not discussing an issue or saying, yeah, we clearly have this problem, then people, by getting ignored or by getting, sort of outside of that conversation, are leading to real dire effects.
Look, I think Carly put it best. You said when young people are spiraling, we cannot ignore that. I think that's really where we are at this moment. I think that by not labeling people the way that they want to be seen, that's not the beginning of the conversation. The beginning of the conversation was what was going on with that person before they got to the point where they were willing to kill others and themselves. And that spiraling doesn't just happen overnight. And can we just all break it real for a moment? It hurts to know that you don't belong. And for whatever reason you don't belong, you know you don't. And when other people act like they need to protect you by not seeing you the way that you want to be seen, and they don't want to call a crime what it is based on who you think you are, and they can't identify the truth, and so on and so forth, you're not just enabling, you are complicit in that person's already deranged view of what pain relief feels like. We've got to start to get real that when someone is going through a situation where they think they want to transition physically, you've got to start to treat the holistic person, all of them. Look, sweetie, I love you. Let's go get you help, son or daughter. Let's start the conversation early. It's okay to need help. Now, I'm not saying that all people who are transgender have a mental issue. I'm saying that they feel already like they don't belong. And if you've ever felt that way, then you know a little love and help is always necessary and always welcome.
I'm glad that you said it that way, because for those of us that love the Lord and know Jesus, we know that there's no such thing as don't belong. And so if someone comes to you, if a young person comes to you with that kind of feeling, you can immediately reassure them that God does not make mistakes and you are perfect just the way you are created.
Because we ourselves have felt it.
That's right.
We know it.
Now, another point made as well, Doctor, you said you had a background in psychiatry. The point that Bethany made was that the issue isn't gender identity at all, or just identity. It's mistreated or misdiagnosed or undiagnosed mental illness.
Yeah, and that's a huge part of this. I want to double down on a couple of points that were just made. Carly's point that we should have sensitivity to gender dysphoria is not the same thing as saying we should ignore the need for mental health intervention.
Right.
And to Kaylee's point, let's stay evidence-based here. And you know, the left did a big disservice for decades trying to prove that once you transitioned, you were happier. Recent studies show the opposite, that there's more disturbance that way. And we should actually have the medical literature show the truth. And the truth is, if you're on hormones, or if you think you're in the wrong body, or if you're thinking of surgeries, that's not a position of mental health strength. That's a position of can we help you? Can we support you? And that type of sensitivity is really important. And that a person might be then more at risk of violence, maybe from the hormones alone. We have to look at it that way. We're always, it's for political correctness, we're looking at issues of let's not offend these people, but what about the people that end up being victims?
Mm-hmm. Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.